good? Okay, good evening everyone and welcome to the Caldwell-West Caldwell Board of Education regular public monthly meeting. Today, Monday, August 11th, 2025. The board met tonight in executive session at 6 p.m. in the Harrison School Conference Room, 104 Gray Street, West Caldwell, New Jersey. The purpose of that meeting was to discuss personnel, litigation, miscellaneous, and old business matters. This meeting had been advertised and is in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act and NJSA 10:4-6, also known as the Sunshine Law. The matters discussed will be made public when confidentiality is no longer required, and formal action pursuant to said discussion shall take place only at a meeting to which the public has been invited. The regular public monthly meeting is happening tonight at approximately 7:03 p.m. here in the gymnasium at Harrison School. The Board of Education meeting is being streamed live, but all community questions and comments will be welcomed here in person. The Caldwell-West Caldwell Board of Education regular public monthly meeting is also in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act and NJSA 10:4-6, also known as the Sunshine Law. Notices have been sent to The Progress, Caldwell, New Jersey, the Star Ledger, Newark, New Jersey, and Tap Into West Essex. Notices have also been posted at the Board of Education Business Office in the Harrison School Building, Gray Street, West Caldwell, and have been delivered to the clerks of the Borough of Caldwell and the Township of West Caldwell for posting. Brian, can you please take the roll?
Yes. Ms. DiMartini.
Here.
Ms. Landolfi Jefferson.
Here.
Ms. Mack. Mr. Diambola.
Here.
Ms. Grosso.
Here.
So we have 4 voting members present. We have a quorum.
Great. Can everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Brian, are there any communications for the board?
There were none.
Okay. We're going to move on to the superintendent's report.
All right, good evening, everyone. If you've had the opportunity to look at our agenda this evening, you know that there's a personnel motion on tonight's agenda to accept the retirement of Mr. Timothy Ayers, principal of Jefferson Elementary School. After 19 years with the Caldwell-West Caldwell Public Schools, Mr. Ayers will officially retire as of January 1st, 2026. During his tenure with the district, Mr. Ayers has become known for his student-centered approach to leadership. He is an advocate for the implementation of developmentally appropriate programs that allow all students to get what they need and share what they're capable of accomplishing. We will give Mr. Ayers a proper send-off later in the year, but it would be remiss of me not to recognize Mr. Ayers' retirement this evening as well. The process to identify Mr. Ayers' successor will be multi-layered and will offer opportunities for Jefferson staff, students, and parents to share their thoughts about the qualities the next principal of Jefferson Elementary School should possess. The first opportunity will come in the form of a survey, the results of which will be reflected in the posting for the position. Jefferson staff, parents, and 5th grade students will be asked to complete these surveys. In-person meetings, one with Jefferson staff and another with Jefferson parents, will take place in the fall. The outcome of these meetings will help us to form topics for interview questions that will be asked of those applicants who are asked to participate in the interview process. The district will engage in a paper screening of applicants, and those that seem to fit the identified criteria, including verification of credentials, will be scheduled for in-person interviews. An interview committee that will include members of the administration and staff will conduct first-round interviews from which candidates recommended to move on in the process will be identified. The administrative team will perform a second round of interviews and will bring the top 2 to 3 candidates to me for a final interview. References will be checked as required. It is our intention to recommend a successful candidate to the Board of Education no later than the first week of November. This will allow for the successful candidate to begin their new role when school reopens in January after the holiday break. On another note, our Summer Jumpstart program began today. Students and teachers engaged in activities to support summer learning, one of which included students' selection from the shared classroom library. It's important for our students to continue their journey as lifelong readers, and programs such as Jumpstart provide opportunities for students to exercise their minds and engage with their peers in collaborative activities. Thank you to Ms. Jacobs, Director of Elementary Education, and her team for putting this program together for our students. Jumpstart follows on the heels of a very successful extended school year program. Mrs. Madara and her team ensured students engaged in appropriate learning activities specifically crafted to meet their needs. Students engaged in learning activities both inside and outside of the classroom and benefited from the services provided. We anticipate that these summer learning experiences will give our students the support they need for a successful start to the new school year. There are several policies on tonight's agenda for a first reading. One document that I would like to point out in particular is R5516E. E stands for Exhibit, which is the new student and parent Chromebook guidance document for the middle school and high school. Thank you to our Director of Secondary Education, Mr. Misbahoudin, Principals Bertolo and Devlin, and all those who helped craft this document, which will be implemented at the start of the 25-26 school year. This concludes my superintendent's report. Board members, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
No?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, for the president's report, the only thing I have to say is that the timeline for the March referendum and the work is available on the website, and the November referendum, which will be Tuesday, November 4th, on the ballot, the general election gubernatorial ballot. That timeline as well, all information for that is also on the website. So there's two different tabs. One's March referendum, one's November. And our architect, Brett Sanjim, Greg, will be back with his dog and pony show in September to give more overviews of the field house and our tax impact, which is roughly, Brian, where do we say, about $82?
Yes.
Yeah, it's about $82 for an average household, which I believe is at $425, right, assessed
Yes,
value?
yes.
Okay.
Approximately, yes.
But all of that is on the website, okay? And that's it. We have committee reports this evening, so let's start curriculum and technology with Terry.
Sounds great. Have a lot to share tonight because we asked them to give us some big highlights, so we had a long meeting. It was great. So the Curriculum and Technology Committee met on August 4th at 11 a.m. at Harrison School, and it was myself, Dr. Fernari, Ms. Jacobs, Ms. Mack, and Mr. Misbahoudin. And the purpose of the meeting was to discuss and collaborate around instructional programs, proposals, and partnerships. So some highlights from that meeting include that the administrative team held their annual Leadership Institute on July 24th, and this was to engage in collaborative professional learning and complete annual evaluation training. This year's institute focused on student discussion in the classroom. High quality discourse in the classroom can lead to up to 2 years of student growth in one school year. During the session, led by Ms. Jacobs and Mr. Misbahoudin, the team worked on strategies to provide teachers feedback that results in increased student ownership of the classroom discussions, as well as tools for ongoing professional development in questioning and discussion techniques. Each year, our ESL students take the Access test, which measures their proficiency in reading, writing, speaking, and listening in English. Students who score a 4.5 or higher are able to exit ESL. This year, we set a record number of students exiting. 21 students exited the program as compared to 7 or 8 in the prior 3 years. This success is due to a variety of factors, including doubling the size of the ESL department from 2.5 to 5 full-time staff, creating an ESL coordinator position, investing in professional development for both the ESL team and the classroom teachers, ensuring our strategic plan included an achievement goal for all of our ML students, greater family engagement with our ESL families with an event led by our ESL team, additional support for our ESL students from our reading interventionists, and most importantly, the incredible work of all of our ESL teachers. And I just want to share that that was a very exciting part of our meeting to really review all of that work together. So many thanks to everyone who has helped make that possible. I will just add on here as well that one thing that's been a part of this as well as a parent ESL event the last few years, and this one for this upcoming school year is on August 27th, where the staff will go over with everything that families need in order to be ready to go in September. And that also includes not just getting like school forms and things like that signed, but also giving information about recreational activities and other programs in the community. So it's great. We discussed our mentoring plan for the 25 to 26 school year. Our annual mentoring plan outlines how new teachers will be supported throughout the school year. In addition, the new mentor-mentee relationship, we provide additional support sessions for new teachers throughout the school year. This includes sessions led by teachers, principals, and directors. We are very committed to ensuring that our new teachers have the support that they need. So, and actually adding on to that, we do have new teacher orientation on August 20th and 21st. We will have 30 new staff members joining the Caldwell-West Caldwell School District this year. The orientation will include training around classroom management, curriculum implementation, and the use of technology. Many of our teacher leaders will be at new teacher orientation to support and provide guidance for all of the new hires. Another discussion that we had as well was that this coming fall, we will publicly share all the assessment scores from spring of '25. Early data reviews showed continued growth for our 2022 baseline data. Principals are currently using this data to set forth growth plans to further support the student groups that have been identified as needing further attention. They will look through the data both holistically and in small subsets to best identify the needs. And lastly, the committee will, going forward, include the addition of the special education department for all of the meetings. So this is to provide the board with an opportunity to receive updates and information directly from the Director of Special Services on a regular basis, in addition to all the other things that we discussed throughout technology, curriculum and technology. So thank you for listening to me give that very long update. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Tara?
No.
Thanks, Tara. Okay, Risa, I want to do policy.
Yes. The policy meeting took place virtually on August 4th, 2025. Present for this meeting was myself, Vice Chair DeMartini, Dr. Fenari, and Jamil Misbahoudin. Several policies were reviewed for a first reading on tonight's agenda. And as Dr. Fenari touched upon, Ms. Bahoudin joined the committee to share updates to the Chromebook guidelines that will be put in place for the use at the middle school and high school, including protective cases and the maintenance fee. We also reviewed changes to the district's organizational chart that reflect the elimination of the assistant superintendent role and shifting responsibilities directly to the superintendent. We want to note that the existing organizational chart will be used for the 2024-25 fiscal audit, while the revised chart will be used for all other district business pertaining to the 2025-2026 school year. Other policies concerning high school graduation, honoring student achievement, student smoking, and dress and grooming required further review. Dr. Fenari shared the most recent policy alert from Strauss-Esme that contains 19 additional policies and regulations for the committee's consideration at the next meeting. The committee will also revisit discussions on artificial intelligence use and sunscreen policy that were under discussion during the 2024-2025 school year. Our next meeting is scheduled for September 17th, 2025. Thank you.
So I have a question about the Chromebook policy, protective cases and maintenance fees.
I believe that Ms. Bahoudin said that he was going to further review this with the committee that came up with the regulations to give us some further information.
So by putting this on the agenda tonight, we're not solidifying that cost associated transferred to parents yet.
Right, so
With the case.
So let me just clarify because this was not a mandatory regulation.
Yeah.
Nor does the exhibit constitute part of policy. We wanted to put this on as an exhibit to make sure that the community is aware that it's coming. But the document itself can be modified at any time the district feels necessary. So the document is here for that purpose, and it will show up as an exhibit in our policy manual, but it's not as though we have every time we make a change to that document, we don't have to reapprove it.
Right. So because if there's costs involved, I guess my question is, it has to come through finance and facilities, would be like if we're going to pass costs or requirements to families for protective cases or for anything with the the maintenance fee, right, for the Chromebooks. I just want to make sure, because it wasn't on finance and facilities, that it goes through finance and facilities, so we have the ultimate say on how much, because my concern is burdening, like, how much
Oh,
we're
yes,
requiring.
absolutely.
Like, I don't want to burden families in a very, very tight, like, economic
Agreed.
situation right now.
Yeah, and I
So,
think
yeah.
a member, and it may have been yourself, that the committee was talking about, you know, what happens if you already have a case that fits that Chromebook and you still use it. So I think more clarification is going to be
Yes,
necessary,
okay.
which is why Mr. Hodin said he was gonna come back to us with that information.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, thank you,
Yes.
Marisa. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Fenari.
Sure.
And then the last is gonna be personnel, which Dr. Fenari is
Sure.
gonna handle today.
So, the Personnel Committee met, and I think the fruits of our agenda are very evident in our personnel documents that are on for approval this evening. But some of the topics that we discussed, there was agreement between all parties. That means, you know, the administration, the association, and the board, that the position of nursing coordinator, which currently looks like it's an outlier in our stipend Schedule C, should be moved into the department coordinator schedule, and so that's on tonight's agenda for a review, so it's treated equitably as it should be. We also talked about openings, and I am so happy to say that as of right now, most of our openings are filled, and they will be further filled by the 6 or 7 folks that we have on the agenda to fill them tonight. We're very excited about that. We are still looking for an elementary nurse, so that's something that, you know, we're doing our best to find candidates to fill that position. Those are very difficult positions to fill, as the board knows. As far as the plan for identifying the new principal at Jefferson, I think I went through that whole process already in my superintendent's report, but that was basically, you know, the aftermath of our discussion during the Personnel Committee meeting. And the other thing that we talked about, and if there's something I've missed, fellow Personnel Committee members, please let me know. But the other thing was that the observation and evaluation schedule is something that our administrative team works on collaboratively every year. And I have asked that the team use me as a resource as much as possible. So I will be taking on the observations and evaluations not only that Dr. Conklin had, but also the former assistant superintendent had, and then picking up anything that the administrative team needs me to do. So, you know, I want to be a resource to them, and I want to make sure that our teachers have, you know, that they understand that that we're really care about their professional growth, and so I'm perfectly happy to be part of that. I will be, as I shared with the committee, I will be observing all teachers who are eligible for tenure at some time at the end of this school year into next school year. So I'm going to be busy and in the classrooms a lot, which I love. Personnel committee members, if there was anything that I forgot.
I think you covered it.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Fernari. And Laura's here, and I know she had mentioned, and I just want to, since our last meeting, we had no audience. I'd like to mention to the two of you that you can see on the agenda that all personnel names are listed. And we're very grateful to Dr. Fernari for bringing that level of transparency that the board was asking for back to the table. So thank you, Dr. Fernari, for that as well. It's very helpful when the public is looking at the agenda to know what we're talking about in real time. So thank you. Okay, so that'll finish committee reports. Any questions about personnel from any of the board members? Okay, we're going to move on to the approval of minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, and can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Brian, whenever you're ready, please.
Yes, Ms. DiMartini,
Yes.
Ms. Landolfi Jefferson,
Yes.
Mr. Diambola,
Yes.
Ms. Grosso,
Yes.
4-0, motion carried.
Okay, we'll move on to public comments for agenda items only. Public participation shall be governed by the following. Participant must be recognized by the presiding officer and must preface comments by an announcement of their name and address. Statements are to be limited to 3 minutes duration. Participant may speak no more than once on the same topic until all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. Boards use the public comment period of the meeting as an opportunity to listen to citizen concerns but not to debate issues or enter into a question-answer session or a cross-examination between the public and individual members. Please be aware that not all issues brought before the board will be resolved this evening. Boards may respond to the public by seeking additional information or by delegating the authority to investigate the issue to the superintendent or her designee. The presiding officer may interrupt, warn, and/or terminate a participant's comments if they exceed the allotted time or are objectively obscene. Participants may be civilly liable for any obscene, defamatory, or slanderous statements made during public comment. That being said, would anybody like to address the board on agenda items this evening? Okay. We're going to move on. This is a voting meeting to curriculum and technology. So that's Terry. You're up.
Okay. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, motion to approve items A through J under curriculum and technology on this evening's agenda.
Okay, before we second, is there any discussion on anything under curriculum and technology?
No.
I just have one question, Dr. Fenari. Everyone can see that we did approve at the last meeting. We are going to be having a freshman girls soccer team, which the girls were very excited about. We're happy that we're able to do it. Do you know when a coach will be on the board's agenda? I don't see a coach on here. I know that's more personnel issue, but
She's on there.
she's on there.
today, yep.
I didn't see her. I just want to see
Yep.
her name.
Yeah.
I just want to see where she is. It's going to be in the, I'm so sorry to hold
No,
everything
no,
up,
it's
but I
okay.
just want to say, is she in, she'll be in
know it.
non-certificated,
She's
right?
in there.
I saw it on the online version.
I don't want to say the name out loud because then I'm going to be wrong.
You can write it. You want to write it and pass
You
it?
can
Sometimes
repeat
common,
it.
I think, because I cannot say.
You should have it.
Oh, I see right
You
here.
see it?
Got
Yeah.
it. Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
Okay, great. That's great, because I know that the girls will probably be watching, so they can see the agenda and the person will be on it. Okay, great. Do I have a second motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, Brian, whenever you're ready.
Ms. Diamartini,
Yes.
Ms. Landolfi Jefferson,
Yes.
Mr. Diambola,
Yes.
Ms. Grosso,
Yes.
4-0, motion carried.
Okay, we're on personnel. So, Chris, you want to do it?
Yep. Upon recommendation of the superintendent of schools, motion to approve items A through L under certificated staff and items A through D under non-certificated staff and personnel on this evening's agenda.
Okay, any questions from the board on anything?
No.
Okay, Brian, whenever you're ready, please.
Wait, a second?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I have a second? So sorry.
I'll second.
Thank
Okay,
you.
good, thank you. Ms. Diamartini,
Yes.
Ms. Landolfi Jefferson,
Yes.
Mr. Diambolo.
Yes.
Ms. Grosso.
Yes, and with B, retirements, Mr. Ayers' retirement with regret. Mr. Ayers, like Dr. Fenari said, has been here 19 years. He's a staple. It is a big loss to our community. Not only was he an administrator in the district, he was a parent. Both his boys went through the school system to a certain point. And, you know, he's just really been the face of Jefferson School for so long. So it definitely is a big loss to the district, but he has every right to retire and enjoy his life and his beautiful wife and his two beautiful boys. And so we wish him the best of luck, but he will sorely be missed. So thank you, Mr. Ayers. So yes. Okay, next, finance and facilities. Guess that's gonna be me, because Danielle's not here, so I don't have her to look to. Danielle, can you do it? Upon recommendation of the superintendent of the schools, can I have a motion to approve items A through I under finance and item A under facilities on this evening's agenda?
I'll second.
Thank you, Terry. Brian, can you take the roll?
Yes. Ms. Diamartini,
Yes.
Ms. Landolfi Jefferson,
Yes.
Mr. Diambola,
Yes.
Ms. Grosso.
Yes.
4-0, motion carried.
And then policy, Maurice?
Upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, motion to approve item A under policy in this evening's agenda.
Great, and any further questions about policy? Nope. Okay, can I have a second?
I'll second.
And then Brian, whenever you're ready.
Yes. Ms. Diamartini,
Yes.
Ms. Landolfi Jefferson,
Yes.
Mr. Diambola,
Yes.
Ms. Grosso.
Yes.
4-0, motion carried.
Okay, moving on to public comments on anything off the agenda. I'm not gonna read through our whole spiel, it's just Liz and Laura. Liz, you have anything you want to, yep, go, come right up.
Sorry.
Liz Hart, 149 Ravine. I have a couple of random questions. So one is with regard to the search for the permanent superintendent. How is that going to continue, or is that, I'm assuming that's still continuing?
Yep, so
To look
that'll
for-
be continuing probably after the holidays, so
Okay.
sometime in the winter time, January.
Okay.
The timeline will be posted on the website as we get closer.
Okay.
We'll be more transparent about it. Really, to be honest with you, the board hasn't reconvened about the movement of that search. We know it's going to be very similar to what it was last year. The board will be running the search again themselves.
Okay.
But again, we'll brief more. Right now, we're just looking to November, like getting through the election, I hate to say that, and getting through that referendum. The groundwork for that search was done less than a year ago. The board doesn't feel a need to do any more groundwork. We know the needs of the district at hand. We know the sentiment of the community. We feel very positive about having a good grasp on what we want to see in a leader. But the timeline for that and the exact process of when that's gonna happen will lay out, like, I would say October, November.
Okay, great. So, because we only have Dr. Funari right until the end of this
Till
year.
June, yep.
Okay.
Yep, so really the plan of the board last year was to appoint by April 1st.
Okay.
Because it would give anyone who is currently in a position 60 days to give notice if they're in a district or a position where 60 days would be required. So we will have someone in place. The idea would be to have someone in place early April so that we could have someone start July 1.
Okay, and then if we don't, then we would hopefully keep Dr. Funari for another year potentially, maybe? If she still wants us? No, just kidding.
Nobody wants her to leave. Everyone's like, can she stay? We do
Okay.
love her. She's a blessing. So, yes.
But so there would be like contingency plans or whatever in case,
Oh,
there
yeah,
wasn't
absolutely.
anything,
And we'll be more upfront about that. It's just that, like you said, it's been summer.
Right.
We only had one meeting in July. This is our next meeting. Like September, October, the board will meet. There might be a special meeting called just for an executive session for us to just talk about it.
Okay.
But we'll be very transparent like we were the last time. Put the timeline on the website. I know we did fall a little bit behind about updating that timeline, which I do apologize on behalf of the board for, but we'll be very clear with the public when the posting's going out, when we're gonna be interviewing, and when we are hoping to be able to appoint.
Okay, perfect. And then I do have a question for the November referendum. And I want to thank Mr. McCarthy for being so prompt with an email that I had sent down. He was like almost instantly responding, so thank you so much for being very transparent. So my question is, that I wanted to ask is, for the locker rooms, was it ever brought up for discussion to potentially renovate the existing locker rooms within the high school, or was that not a consideration? And I ask that because if we could have potentially, applied for a grant from the state or from the government, or however that works, right, to improve the locker rooms within the existing building versus creating almost like a double-sized field house to house these locker rooms, that could have potentially reduced the cost in building the field house.
So the locker rooms in the school, first of all, there's not enough locker rooms in the school to encompass both the male and female sports.
Okay.
We have had Paret Sanjin walk around the high school to look at that as like a secondary project, like down the road, like
Okay.
possibly like for the wrestlers, like looking at that locker room for basketball, girls and boys. The problem is the locker rooms, the whole reason the field house is so beneficial to the high school, and please, like, feel free, board members, to jump in if I'm not being clear or eloquent enough about this, is that those locker rooms are on the field, right? Like, they're there. Like, the problem with the high school is you gotta go up the hill, out of it. It's so not conducive for when you're in a sport, right? So if you're there watching the sport at halftime, the opposing team goes down to the high school and our team goes into the field house, right? Besides the fact that there's care in that field house right at field level. If they get hurt, I mean, it's not very adequate right now what they have there. Ice machine is broke, I mean, it's not great, but there's care for them when they get injured right there. It wouldn't make any sense to have them cart them down a hill back into the building, right? Besides the fact, I mean, there's a lot of things, and again, I don't want to be rude, Liz, but like,
Yeah.
the athletic department at the high school knows what they need. They need a field house, right? They need a field house at field level. It doesn't, the locker space in the high school, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. It might work for the sports inside the high school and indoor in the winter, but it doesn't work for the sports outside on Bonnell and across. It just doesn't make any sense. So I do definitely appreciate where you're coming from. You're trying so hard to save money, and I get it, but it just doesn't make sense. That field house is 80 years old. It needs to be fixed. It doesn't make sense to even gut the existing field house there. It makes no sense. It is not conducive to boys and girls sports. It's not conducive for a renovation. It needs to be leveled and a new one needs to be built. And that's just what needs to happen. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Okay. I mean, I'll still take the position. I mean, I played sports in high school in a town, you know, very close to here. And we also had we had a 2-level field where like JV field was like up one hill and then we had to go up another hill for senior sports. And that's what we did, right? We used our locker rooms that were housed in the school and all year round.
Did you have enough lockers for male and females inside the school?
Yeah, I mean, I played sports all year round,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
I played soccer, basketball, and
Yeah.
track, right? So yes, we did.
So we don't. That's
Right.
my point to you, we don't. And the whole
So we
point
don't
of
have-
this field house is for female athletes. Like, that's the point of it, is that right now these girls don't have a place to go. There's no place for them to change, right?
So we
Like,
don't have, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we don't have female lockers for the girls
I
for
would
gym?
need Mr. Romano to come in and, I'm gonna tell you, there's not enough space. Like, there's just not enough space.
No, but I mean like in the high school, like there isn't enough
I'm not
girls?
the administrator of the high school, I can't answer it.
Yeah, no,
I
I
can't
know.
answer it, but I'm telling you that, like, we have sat in so many meetings with the high school principal, with the athletic director, with the coaches. All of those meetings are the same thing. There is not enough space to house boys and girls sports with the amount of sports that we have going on. There's just not enough space. I know you want there to be a different solution, and I appreciate it because you've been talking about it for over a year, and I
Right.
appreciate it and welcome it, but I can't express enough how much this board has tried to explore and has explored all those options with all of the people that have all of the answers to these questions. The administrator, the athletic director, the coaches, like, the fact of the matter is, we need the field house. It's a need more than it is a want at this point. The want was a 2-story, $15 million field house. The need is an $8 million field house, and that's the compromise. We went to the public, we said, we really want this, it would be so great, it would be this, bells and whistles, blah, 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 blah. We could have a conference room, we can do this, we can use it for testing, we could do, and the public said, no, it's too much. And we said, okay, we went for it, we tried. That was the want. The need is an $8 million field house that has a trainer's room, that has equal locker space for boys and girls. That's what the need is. And there's no other ifs, ands, buts, ways around it. It just is what it is. So I do appreciate the questions, I appreciate your feedback, but we are sitting in the meetings for 2 years now with all of the people that are the experts at what the needs are at the high school. Mr. Devlin, Mr. Romano, the boys and girls coaches. And so we have to, as a board, it's our job to listen to them and respect what they have to say, because they're the experts.
Okay. But then you just said something that you said for the sports that happen that don't use the field house, then the locker rooms currently have to be adequate for them to use. So that means really the field house is just for fall sports then, correct?
No, lacrosse, the spring sports use it.
Okay.
Spring sports use it, track uses it, lacrosse uses it, spring sports use it.
Okay.
Any sport that's outside, baseball uses it, any sport that's outside, I don't know about sport, I don't know.
Tennis
I know
wouldn't use
baseball
it because
uses
they're closer to the high school,
Yeah,
right?
like, but does softball use it? I don't know anything
probably
about,
can't right
I don't think so. I don't think softball uses it. Any sport that's outside in the fall and spring uses the field house.
Okay.
Maybe not tennis because they're right near
They're
there,
right by
so
the-
maybe
right.
not. But I don't even know, like, I don't even know because I'm not involved, I'm not the administrator of the high school and I'm not the athletic director. So I don't know, I just know what the administrator of the high school and the athletic director have told us inexplicably. We need a field house. It's just not good enough.
So if we had the music director say we need, you know, a better sound system and a light system, and they came to the board and said this is what we need, would that then go up for referendum?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, we put over $1 million into that at the middle school.
For
And
seats.
that was a referendum years ago at the high school, yes it
Right.
was.
No, yes, I know.
That's when the CPA was revised, right. So
Yeah.
we gave that, and I appreciate your gusto for the arts. I support it 2 of my children participate in the arts, as one of my children only participates in the high school sports at this point. But the fact of the matter is, we do for the arts. This board has done more for the arts than boards in the past. A referendum was, the last time a big referendum was done, it was done for the CPA. We are now here. This is where we are right now. These are the wants and needs of the district right now. Actually, more the needs of the district right now, right? We just did that entire Grover Cleveland Middle School out of cap reserve. Over $1 million, right, Brian?
Right, for the seating, but admittedly, right, when we went for the sound and the lighting, it came up that the cost was too much, and so that had to be put on the back. Right.
It's also the middle school auditorium, so we don't rent that out right now. It's not that we don't want to do it,
Right.
but the cost of things is astronomical. We have to really balance what we're spending our cap reserve on, right? Like,
Right.
we also have other needs, like parking lots that have to get paved,
Right.
roofs that are gonna have to be done. Those are things we also have to keep on our capital reserve for, Liz. Like, I'm not saying that, like, it's not important to us, we want the kids to sound good, but, you know, we can't give everything to one thing, right? We're not giving, like, we
Yeah.
are giving to, and again, I appreciate your son is a superstar, and I love him, and I love your passion for music and more and for the arts, but you do have to understand, like, we are looking at the district as a global lens, right? We can't just look at one part. It's globally. What is being amplified as the main need right now, right? That field house is a health hazard. It's a safety hazard. It's a health hazard. We have to do something about it. We're not ashamed to say that we are prioritizing that. It is a major priority for the board and for the district. It really is right now.
I totally hear that. And when the architect comes next month, there's like a whole bunch of other,
September. We'll be back at the high school. He'll be here.
Okay, great, because I have a bunch of other questions for him. And I don't know if this is something that you're able to answer. So with the tariffs and the current, presidential administration that is like imposing these tariffs and the cost to build and all of this. So what happens if, let's say, the field house, and I apologize, right, I'm taking up all this time, but if the field house gets approved in November and it's like this $8.5 million budget and okay, great, yay, and that's based on estimates, like I'm assuming that they do projections on those estimates.
There's market escalation built in.
But including tariff inflation, because that's
part of, I mean, Greg can speak to it better,
Yeah.
but he has said in multiple presentations, he builds in a certain percentage for market escalation.
Okay. I mean, I don't know that anyone could have predicted like what these tariff rate increases would be, and I feel like they're probably going to change between today and maybe tomorrow, depending on what have you. But let's say if the community votes for the 8.5 and it included the extra variable costs, right, with this, let's just pretend whatever this percentage is, and the actual cost is more, right, because of that, at the time that, that everything gets approved and whatever, the architectural plans and blah, 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 then what happens if we don't have money, right? So, and we can't afford within the $8.5 million due to unforeseen costs that go beyond what have been planned, right? Then does the public have a say in what gets pulled, or like how does that actually work?
I mean, Brian, you could speak better to this than I can, so I'll defer to you. I mean, I could speak to it, but I don't want to say you're the expert, so I'd rather have you speak to it.
So, great questions. So the borrowing is $8.5 million approximately.
Right.
And that's all gonna be bonded. So if it's approved, we can borrow $8.5 million over 20 years, and we talked about what the tax impact might be. If it came in, suppose it came in $1.5 million higher, then
Right.
the board has a couple options. We could kick in the capital reserve if we needed to finish out the project.
Okay.
So that's always a possibility.
Okay.
So that would be an option.
All right. So, but would the public have a say in like whether, we don't have a say whether you apply cap reserve, right? No.
We would, I'm sorry, no.
No, we don't, right? You
No.
guys vote on that, right?
It's
Yeah.
a board decision.
Okay. But then it wouldn't say, and then let's say if the board, I know there's so many hypotheticals, but I feel like the questions need to be asked, right? So if the board says, no, we need to keep the cap reserve because there's going to be roofs and all these other things that we need to make sure that we have reserve funds for, then at that point, then all of the things that are listed to be done, who determines that? Do we get to vote? Because as voters, if we voted to have like what the current architectural plan lays out, then how does that decision get made as far as like what gets cut? Or you're not allowed to say, sorry.
I think that's gonna be a board decision
Okay,
of what would be in there, what might have to be cut if they didn't wanna make a contribution.
okay.
Dr. Fenner, you have anything to
No,
add?
the only other thing I want to point out is that at some point, the decision to have a plan approved is going to kind of preclude the district from backing out on things that we have already committed to. For example, we knocked down a field house. We've built 3/4 of the things that, maybe the finishes can change. There might be some internal kinds of things that the board, but it's going to be minor compared to the things that I think you're trying to help us think through. So we just have to, at some point, we can't make major change that's going to really affect the end dollar amount.
Right.
We do have to figure out how to make it work.
Okay.
So some of those decisions may need to be made sooner rather than later. I mean, right now we're talking hypothetically,
Right.
but those are all considerations, and I know that there's a contingency built into the amount, and the architect will be much more eloquent in explaining what that is. But, so, as you said, some of these things are hypothetical because we just don't know yet.
Right,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, just trying to think out loud
Yeah, yeah.
and really kind of know if I vote yes, like, okay, are we truly going to get like those
Right.
10 things, just whatever. Are we going to get all those things, or because of the current fluctuation in our economy, will some of those things not actually be able to happen? Okay, that's it. Sorry, thanks.
That's okay, Lori, you have any questions? Not a word, okay. All right, if that's it, I'd like to make a motion to enter executive session at 7:43 PM. And do I have a second?
I will second it.
And Brian, whenever you're ready.
Sure, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All against, no? Any abstentions? Motion carried?
Thank you, everybody. Our next meeting is, I don't know,
Our next meeting, I'll tell you when it is.
September, is it the 8th or the
So
15th?
we changed it, we actually.
Yeah, we changed it.
For a new calendar.
I know.
I do
We
have
need the
it here.
calendar.
We were
It's up
actually.
there.
we-
There it is, Bri.
We just published it. Our next meeting is actually gonna be September 8th will be the public conference, and our voting meeting is gonna be September 15th.
It's September 15th.
Okay, it
yeah.
had been September 29th. We moved things up because it's too long of a stretch between today and the end of September.
We make the business office crazy. They can't do anything unless we approve
Yeah.
things, so.
I'm not gonna say, I'm not
For
gonna.
Brian's
I won't-
sanity, for
I won't
Brian's
respond to
sanity.
that. Okay, so that's just changed as of today.
Yeah.
Okay, it'll be published.
Yeah, so the 8th and the 15th at the high school.
So it's gonna be the 8th and the 15th at the high school.
Yep.
Correct.